Hello? Did you guys notice my haircut? I can now cosplay Gregory from, The Security Breach, which is crazy. You know who also I can cosplay as? Lois Lane, from the new Superman series that's coming out on July 6th. And people were like, oh, she looks like Liz from the Owl House. So what? What's wrong with this look, huh? Huh? Why can't there be more characters that look like me? What's the issue? Oh my god, I need to pop my hip. Oh, but I'm on my period. It's gonna go everywhere. This is a white chair. How do you guys pop your hips? Do you do the squat method or you do the side thing? Okay. Anyway, there was, about, let's say, a year and a half ago, people started wondering what it would be like if Five Nights at Freddy's took place in the 1800s. And so people on TikTok started making videos changing the dialogue and the cadence of how people in the 1800s talked, which resulted in me making this small comic. Let me do a reading. Heavens! I believe the good Sir Frederick Ferguson requests immediate entry. You know? Anyway, that was 2021. And because the new movie's coming out in October, I remembered this trend and I started to ponder, well, what would all the characters in Five Nights at Freddy's look like if it was made in the 1800s? And so that's what the drawing that you are watching me do right now is. I am going to be making every main animatronic into their 1800s persona. It's not accurate. It's more of like a rendition. I don't know what that word means. I just looked up, 1800s men's clothing and assumed that every picture on Google Images was true and real and wasn't lying to me. And I smashed that all together, and we'll see what happens. Let's get back to Lois Lane for a second. Asian Lois Lane. That's me. It doesn't get any better than that. She even dresses like me. Like, I have that shirt. I actually looked for it in the closet, but it's not in there. Actually, it probably is, but it's probably shoved all the way to the back, and I just don't want to deal with everything in there right now. I want to be a neat person. I want to have everything aligned, but I have too many clothes, and I just kind of stuff, hang, and shove. I just don't think I have enough closet space. You know, I'm a 20-year-old woman living in my bedroom that I've had since birth. My crib was in here, which is crazy that I've made it this far. The thing is that this room is formatted where you can only put the bed on two walls. The one over there and the one over here. You can't really do like a middle bed situation because I have a desk and the desk isn't formatted for that environment. The corner bed, you don't see that too much these days. The only time I've ever seen a corner bed, which is when you put like the head of the bed in the corner, right, and it's sticking out, is like in a Disney movie. Or like if two people are sharing a room, like Liv and Maddie, even though they didn't do that, that's the lie. They didn't do the corner bed. You know what kind of beds would work for corners? Those really big circle beds. But they make me anxious because I like when a mattress fits in its space. If the corner was curved, I could see a circle bed there. Beyond that, forget it. Today I went out, which is dangerous in itself. Not because I don't like going outside. I like staying in my corner. First of all, I don't get a lot of daylight in this room. No natural sunlight comes through. You want to know why? Because you can't see, but I'll pretend you can. There's a big shed roof thing that blocks any natural sunlight coming in my room, and it's depressing. But, okay. That's not the point. I went outside, and the reason it was dangerous is because I live in one of the hottest states in America, Arizona, the arid zone. Put two and two together. Anyway, there are these cars. They're called Waymo cars, and they drive themselves. And they're only here, from what I know, besides California. And the reason they're doing that is because they're testing them out. And they just drive around the neighborhood, which is scary, but it's not that scary because they're testing it by having someone in the passenger seat, holding the wheel and kind of driving a little bit, just in case something happens. But wouldn't you know, today I'm waiting at the stoplight and I look to my right and there's a Waymo car, and I'm like, oh, there's a Waymo car. And then I look back at the front of my windshield, and then I look again back because you know what's missing from the car? Not just the passenger, but the driver. No one was in the front seats and no one was in the back seats. The car was taking itself on a walk. There was nobody in there. Just an end, like, no brain, nothing, no thoughts. Where was it going? I don't even know where it turned after that. It could have went straight ahead and hit someone and I just didn't see. I think the most embarrassing way to die is going out for a walk and a car hitting you. Just you. Nothing else, just you. It's such like a targeted death. It's an accident, but it's so targeted because there's so much space and openness that a car could hit. It's not like you yourself you're a tiny person walking along the street and you get raw dogged by a Toyota Corolla. It's so sad. Speaking of driving, I've recently been carrying cash around with me because I feel like, okay, I made a video about this, but I'm gonna say it again. You know how, like, when you spend cash, it doesn't feel like you're actually spending your money? Well, that's because that cash isn't in your name anymore. It's free-range cash. Anybody could take it. Your bank account is not, the numbers aren't going down. It's staying the same, but you just pulled it out in advance. Like, this imaginary $20 bill, just because it's from my bank account doesn't mean it's under my name anymore. But anyway, I love throwing people off by giving them cash, you know, especially really early in the morning when everyone's kind of delusional and doesn't want to do math right away. I whip out a 20 and they're like, oh, how do I open the cash register? I feel bad. You know what I found out recently? Only 20% of American households bear one child, which is a lot. But think about it. How many people are only children that you know? Not many. And when I mean not many, you probably can't even name 4. I can't. I can name 1. Me. We are a dying breed. We need to be put under the endangered species list by National Geographic. So does National Geographic hire photographers, or is that like a submission thing? Like, they say they shoot for National Geographic. Were you chosen by National Geographic? Did you submit for National Geographic? Are you a employee of National Geographic? Do you get insurance benefits from National Geographic? Because those close-ups of those animals, that must be frightening to undergo. I'm really excited for this Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Now, one thing about me is that I'm a wimp. I don't like playing games. I mean, I don't not like it, but I get anxious playing games because I feel like I am solely responsible. You know, if I kill someone or if I disown a character, it's like a personal thing, which is the whole purpose of playing games, to be responsible and answer for your actions. But I take it too seriously. You know, maybe when I get on medication, I'll be able to play games properly and not get too worried. But I don't know, when I was stressed playing Pop Tropica when I was younger. There were certain portions of the game where it was time that you had to get certain items, and there's a clock in the corner, and I think that was my first wave of anxiety. That wasn't triggered by a human being, but something less. Here's the thing, I like horror games. I do. Because I'm curious to see, all these scenarios and, kind of unnerving events, things that could possibly happen to you suddenly play out. I love a good apocalypse and good animatronic killing children story. It fits right into my genre. But I do admit that I do get scared. I do get the anxiety, heartbeat going as I'm watching the movie, and I regret watching it after because then I can't sleep. It's kind of like when I have bad dreams. I have the ability to leave the dream and stop and wake up because I know it's not real, but I continue the journey. I keep walking around and I don't wake myself up because I want to see what happens, because maybe, just maybe, I will be creating a new story that's going to blow everyone's minds, and I'm going to make this whole series or webcomic, and everyone's going to be like, how did you come up with this? And I'm going to be like, it came to me in a dream. What was your first anime? Mine was gay ice skating. At the fresh age of 14. I remember it so vividly. It was wintertime. I was eating those fruit candy canes that you can get seasonally. And I was watching in the corner of my room, not a single poster on the wall, bland. It looked like I was in boarding school. I had no decor and a singular orange lamp on. And I was eating those candy canes one by each episode, and I was focused. And then a couple of years later, I suddenly really started getting into anime when COVID happened, and not by starting out watching an anime, but the pipeline of watching Avatar: The Last Airbender. Is it an anime? Am I white? Yeah, not on the surface. Do you guys know what you want to be for Halloween this year yet? I think this might be the first time I actually genuinely celebrate Halloween. And that's not because I've been anti-Halloween. I used to hate Halloween because it's like the one holiday where like you spend it with your friends. And like that reminded me that, well, you don't have many. And the ones that you do have don't live in the same state as you. I wonder if people who like can naturally sing look at people who can't sing, like me, and most of the general public, and like wonder how like just go high in the note. Just do a high note. Just go, like just do it. What's so hard? You just go, I'm trying. That's kind of like me when like I see people who like try to dance and they can't like do different arms and legs at the same time. I'm like, these are two different parts of the body. They don't need to really work together. One brain for each. What's so hard? But then again, I cannot play a piano. You know what? I tried. When I was 7, I had one of those like Yahama. See, if this was a podcast, I'd have like an assistant in the corner being like, "Hey, can you pull up a Yahama?" They make motorcycles, don't they? I didn't know that. The Yamaha Motor Company makes pianos and the biker gang's vehicles. Yamaha balls in my mouth. Sorry. I want to be one of those people who could just walk up to a piano that's like at a train station and just go, "Oh, this is nothing. Oh, this is just me in my natural state. A little oh, please. Stop recording me. Look at me go. Look at this tune." But I don't live near a train station. I don't even know where I am in the drawing process. Who am I drawing? Do they look good? Do they look accurate? You know when people film a movie and you're like, when did this happen? Like, where did you film all of this? Like, I didn't see you film it. So when did this all happen? Because I wasn't there to see it. It's kind of like when people tell me they were, like, at a job for 30 years. I'm like, I just got here. See, I've only been here for 20 of those years. Those 10 years didn't exist until I was coherent enough to remember them. God, having a period's a pain in the actual, yeah, it is. We've got a few bandages on them. Listen, I've got eczema. I'm, like, cracking. I'm, like, peeling, and I don't know what's new and old skin. Everything feels weird. It's like I lost my taste buds in my fingertips. Everything feels really leathery. Typing hurts. You know, this is all on me though, because I don't actually take the time to go like get prescribed some sort of like cream. I just use some Cetaphil and pray to whatever religion will hear me. I also began reading, and my favorite kind of books to read are romance books. Always have been, always will be. So, I started reading this book, Better Than Fiction. Why? Because I judged the book by its cover. I thought, okay, they look cute. They got together halfway through. So what does this mean? Well, what is all this then? You know what all this left is? If they've gotten together halfway through the book, that means that the rest is miscommunication, conflict, fighting, misunderstandings. There's just a lot of messy things that I don't want to read. So I gave up halfway. I got this in the bookstore in New York, and I walked into the bookstore, the Strand bookstore, right? And I'm looking around, and I'm going, now I've never been to this place before, right? And I'm like looking around, I'm like, things are looking familiar. Am I having deja vu? I feel like I've seen this place before. Well, wouldn't you know that it's the bookstore that they filmed Dash and Lily in, which is a Netflix movie that I watched like when it came out. Sometimes companies send me emails. It'll start off with like some font that they generated on a website that changes it from like the default to something really thin and kind of, "Hello, we love your videos here at MistyAnnCompany.com that we want you to promote a new product of ours. Our anti-balding cream. This helps hair grow back in places that were missing before, and we think that you are a perfect fit." Now that I think about it, they might be right. That's why I'm facing a 3/4 view, just like how Dream did his reveal video. The moment that he did his reveal, I went on Twitter and I typed out, "Well, that's what the point of the mask was," and it was a hit tweet. And then I was like, okay, I don't want to get bullied. I'm fragile. But it still would have been up if I had a bigger ego. I remember in 3rd grade, I was like, you know what? I want to write a book. And I think by the time that I'm 12, it will be written and it'll be in stores. That didn't happen. And now, at 20 years old, I don't even think about the possibility of me writing a book because that passion is gone. Does anyone remember that one Curious George stop motion video where the man with the yellow hat, even though he has a name, his name's Ted. I don't know his last name, but his name is Ted. Which sucks that they didn't call him Ted at all. They just called him the man with the yellow hat. You know what else he was wearing that was yellow? His entire outfit. We could have just said the man in yellow. Ted brings home a puzzle. And it's a very simple puzzle. And George is like, oh my god, I'm so excited. But George gets confused. And he's like, wait, I want to eat this. So he eats a piece of the puzzle. And then he goes to bed. And then they wake up. And then Ted is looking for this puzzle piece. And to, finish this puzzle the next day. And then he's like, where is it? And then somehow George communicates in monkey form that he has swallowed the puzzle. Actually, he doesn't actually say that, but it is assumed that the puzzle piece is inside George. So Ted, being the responsible adult, takes this animal to a children's hospital instead of a veterinary clinic to evaluate and examine George. And they pull up his x-ray and they say, look at this. The puzzle's inside of him. And Ted's like, oh my god, how did that get in there? And then George, once again in monkey fashion, fesses up and is like, I swallowed it. And so then the doctor comes in. First of all, they put George in a very lovely bed, and he starts getting along with all the other children in the hospital, none of them being fazed that there's a whole animal among them. None of the adults care anyway. Anyway, so the doctor comes in, and it's like, okay, this is what's gonna happen. We're gonna put a tube down your throat and we're gonna get this puzzle out of you. And George is like, oh no, I'm not doing it. Ted is like, don't worry, you'll be fine, you'll be asleep. I'll come back for you in the morning. And then Ted leaves. Anyway, so they do the surgery, they take the puzzle piece out of him, they show George, and they're like, this was inside of you. How did you get that past your throat? This is a large piece. You idiot. You don't remember that one? Damn, alright. That's kind of like when I look at the anatomy of, like, the animatronics, and I'm like, how did you guys fit a whole child, like, even with a large capacity? And also, how did no one bother to open those things up? People, remember they were like, we had to shut it down. We had to shut down the establishment because the animatronics started smelling funky. Open it up. Pry that thing open. Thank you for watching. I hope you like the final product. I think it turned out pretty good. I especially like Freddy's checkered vest, kind of like the checkered floors. We don't talk about Chica. You just have to listen. If you tried converting Victorian clothing into like 80s animatronic sized apparel, it's not exactly an easy transition. Bottoms up, people. Oh, by the way, I have Cameo now, so if you want me to say a little happy birthday to a friend of yours or break up with your partner for you, I will do that. Like, say, hey, just letting you know that Alyssa is she's going through something right now, and that something is being a lesbian. Thank you very much. If you have any other things you would like me to draw, I would, love to take some suggestions. Did you see the new FNAF trailer? Okay. Bye.